Hi, my name is Elizabeth and I'm going to be running through the BNCA Basic NetApp Configuration and Administration Lab Module 3, which is about creating aggregates, volumes and queue trees, and showing you how to do that with the data on tap storage system, both in command line and using the NetApp on command system manager. Now, for those of you that don't know, an aggregate is almost like raw space. So it's the hard drive. You can think of it like a DVD, whereas your volume is your movie on the DVD, and the queue tree is the different chapters or segments of that movie. So that's a way of thinking of the system. So we're going to go into the NetApp on command system manager here and open up our storage system, access our storage machine from our NetApp on command system, which is what we're doing here. And we click on that, get everything up and running, make sure our storage system is signed in. As you can see, it wasn't quite, so we'll get signed in there. And let's go back to our storage system, sign in to our on command system manager. And the first screen you're going to get here is going to show the basically any warnings or anything, notifications. So we're going to go into our storage wizard, and as you can see in our storage wizard we have three different options to choose. We can create an aggregate, which we will be doing. We can add spare disks to an existing aggregate, or we can manually create our aggregate, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to manually create it. So let's just get out of this wizard and go into our aggregates, click create button. Nice and simple, we get another wizard. So the NetApp on command system manager is very intuitive, very easy to use. So we're going to create our aggregate, and we're going to call it aggregate 1. Nice and simple. And you can see our resiliency, which is our RAID. Now, RAID stands for redundant array of independent disks, and it's basically for fault tolerance. We're going to leave ours as RAID DP, or double parity, and our next task is to actually select the number of disks we want. And so for this we're going to select 4 disks. This is what we're going to start with. And in here, as you can see, our 4 disks have been selected, but our group size could go to 16 if we needed to. So let's complete that, and voila, wow, aggregate 1 has been created with a disk count of 4. We have 15.82 gigabytes in there, and only 176 kilobits has been used. So we go over to our storage system and the command line interface. As you can see, we can actually create an aggregate through here. We don't actually have to use our on command system manager, and just type in aggregate create, aggregate name, and the number of disks you want. And let's throw our aggregate status in here, and you can see that we have our aggregate 2 online and created. Simple, just like creating it, just as simple as it was to create it through our system manager. And if you see, we refreshed and we've got a brand new aggregate created exactly the same as the first one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play with aggregate 1. What we're going to show you here is, as you can see, by doing the command with the -R, we can see the RAID groups, the disks numbers, which shelf and bay they're assigned to, and some other wonderful information in there. And now I'm going to fail the very first disk, a double parity disk. I'm going to fail it out. I'm going to simulate it something going wrong. So it is going to be failed. So yes, we're going to fail it. And so it's going to start its disk copy. So what RAID does basically is it goes ahead and it will copy all the information from that disk to another disk. And as you can see, I just showed you a couple of statements, which is volume status and then sysconfig. Volume status shows you the status of volumes, whereas sysconfig shows you the configuration of the system. Again, all of our volumes are online, and as you can see here, just by doing that command again, you can actually see the copying process occurring. So volume 21 is being 5.21 is being copied to 5.27. It does take a bit of time, but once it's done, as you can see, we now have our double parity disk is now version V5.27 instead of 5.21. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we get that disk 5.21 as a usable disk, because we just showed you what it would happen if it failed, but now we want to be able to make sure that we can go ahead and use that disk. So we're going to go ahead and just unfail it so that it can be used later on. And let's go back to our on command system manager now and take a look at the disks. You can actually add disks, more disks to an aggregate. You just go into your disks tab, add to aggregate. As you can see, I'm going to make sure that we put it into the right aggregate that we want to put it into. I'm going to put it into aggregate 1. So let's put that into aggregate 1 and then hit add, and then it's going to see, as you can see, it's pending there. It's going to take some time because it needs to be zeroed out, it needs to be cleaned, so to speak. And as you can see, it is actually doing that down here. And while that's doing that, let's go ahead and go and make our volume, our very first volume. So we go into volume tab, and we're going to type our volume name, what we're going to call our volume, and this one's going to be our NAS volume. We're going to actually associate that with aggregate 1, because that's where we want our volume to go. Now remember, the volume is your movie on your DVD. Your aggregate is your DVD, just this basic size, and the volume is the movie on that DVD. And we're going to give it a size of 1 gigabit, and we're going to give it a snapshot reserve of 5% snapshot reserve. We're going to thin provision it. Thin provisioning means that the space is allocated when we need it, we're not allocating the space for this volume up front. We're going to allocate it when we need it. And as you can see, if I go back, our disk has now been assigned to aggregate 1, and so we can go ahead and let's go back to our volume's already been created there. As you can see, it's got a 1 gigabit total space. Now the available space in there is only 972 megabits, and that's because of our 5% snapshot reserve, so that is the available space. And we can actually resize that by we go into this beautiful resize wizard here, and we can change our total capacity from 1 gigabit to, let's go 1.5, shall we, and put this up to 1.5. There we go, 1.5. And in here we can actually go ahead, and you can see that the size has been changed to 1.5 gigabits. We can go ahead and remove snapshots from in here if we needed to, or add snapshot reserve. Then we're going to see our summary, and if we click next, we will actually complete our volume resize. Look at that, our volume is now 1.5 gigabytes, and we have 1.42 available space. Now remember, that is due to that 5% snapshot reserve. Now snapshot is basically just a copy or a photograph of a particular moment of that volume, and it stores it so that if something happened, you could revert back to that snapshot. Now as you can see, we've got our volume status showing, and if we go ahead and take a look further, our file system for our volume, we can see the file name, which is /vol/nasvol/, and you can see the total space available, and then the snapshot reserve and its space. And then if we want to change the size, we can also change the size of our volume from the command line interface, and we're changing it here to 100 gigs. We're running that same command, shows us the same amount of space, the total space, what's used, the available capacity. And as you can see, I've gone ahead and I've changed it to 100 megabits rather than gigabits, which is rather small, but so let's go ahead and make our Q tree. Now remember, a Q tree is like the different chapter or segments of the movie that's inside of a volume, which is the movie which is inside of the DVD, which is your raw space. Now we're going to give our Q tree a name, and then we're going to make sure that we associate it with the right volume. So we go into browse, go down to root, aggregate that the volume is in, and then select it that way. We also need to select a security style, and for this one we're going to select the Unix security style, and that's going to help us there. And as you can see, if we go into our beautiful system again, we can also create a Q tree in our storage system using the command line interface, again with beautiful commands. Now I'm not a coder and I do hate command line, but it does make life a simple and easy command line. And as you can see with our Qt status, we've got it, refresh, and there we have our 2 Q trees that we've just created, one via the system manager, one via the command line. And it's just simple. We can get rid of one by hitting our delete button, Look at that, it's gone. Lovely. Now then we jump on over to our system, our storage system. You can actually see where it's been deleted there. Now we're gonna, if we want to delete another Q tree, we actually need to go into a more advanced command settings, and then we can go in there and delete our other Q tree. And simple, and the delete was done. It was successful. If we put our commands back where we need to be, and we can even look at it here. We don't even have to go back, but there we go. No Q trees are available. And we can go into our volume here on our command system. Now to delete that, first of all we need to take it offline, and once it's offline we can then go ahead and delete our volume. Life is easy, and just like that. So thank you very much for watching this beautiful video on the BNCA Module 3. I hope you learnt a little bit about how to create an aggregate and a volume and a Q tree, and have fun.